Adam's POV. I walked into the house and noticed an unusual silence. I called for Martha, nothing. I called for Demi, still nothing. By this time, she should have been home from school. I checked the kitchen, no one. I stepped outside and asked the driver, who informed me he'd dropped Demi off an hour ago. I decided to head upstairs, calling Demi's name along the way, no response. Then I heard faint voices coming from her room. When I walked in, what I saw left me speechless. A wave of warmth ran through me, a strange feeling I didn't know what to do with. A part of me liked it, another part didn't. Demi was laying on the floor beside Emma, both of them coloring in princess coloring books. They were laughing and completely at ease, like they'd known each other forever. Emma's smile faded when she noticed me at the door. "Daddy! You came home early today?" Demi yelled, running toward me and wrapping her arms around my legs. I bent down to hug her, but my eyes couldn't help but find Emma's again. "How's my little princess?" I asked, pulling back to look at Demi's bright face. "I'm happy, Daddy. Thank you so much for bringing a new mommy for me. I'm having so much fun with her." Again, speechless. "Daddy, don't just stand there. Give Emma a kiss, too." "God, no, I'm not touching that woman." "Daddy!" "Oh, yes, of course." I walked toward Emma, and I noticed the nervousness in her body language. To my surprise, I felt the same. As the distance between us closed, I became increasingly aware of her, of the emerald green in her eyes I hadn't noticed before, of the softness in her expression. I placed a quick kiss on her cheek and immediately felt a jolt of electricity through my body. Her skin was like silk. We both stepped back quickly, trying to create space. Her eyes dropped to the floor while mine lingered on her for a second longer. Demi clapped her hands, her smile beaming like sunshine. I had never seen her this happy. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't prepared for this, so I stormed out of the room to clear my thoughts. Emma's POV. Dinner was awkward tense even. Adam and I didn't speak a single word to each other, aside from a few awkward smiles as Demi carried on enthusiastically. Her nonstop chatter was the only thing keeping the atmosphere somewhat light. When dinner ended, Adam finally spoke. "Okay, it's time to read a book and go to bed, Little Miss Perfect." "No, I don't want to," Demi replied, crossing her arms and giving him her best fake angry face. "Demi, there's no getting out of bedtime." His voice was serious, but gentle. It made me pause. He really was a wonderful dad. Just hearing that tone stirred something in me. "But Daddy, I want Emma to read to me tonight." "Me?" I asked in surprise, just as shocked as Adam, judging by the look on his face. "No, Demi. Emma is tired. We need to let her rest." "No, she's not. Right, Emma? Tell Daddy you don't mind reading to me tonight?" I hesitated. Going against Adam's wishes wasn't something I wanted to do. But Demi's eyes, full of affection and longing, were impossible to resist. She'd been nothing but sweet since the moment we met. I could tell she missed her mom. No one had mentioned her. I didn't know what happened, but I knew what it felt like to grow up without a mother. Mine left me and Jason when I was 5. Jason was just 2. That kind of hole never really heals. "It's okay. I'm not that tired. I can read a few stories with you," I said, with a soft smile, and Demi beamed, pulling me toward her room. After a few bedtime stories, Demi finally drifted to sleep. I kissed her forehead gently and tucked the blanket around her, unable to stop the smile on my face. I quietly closed her door behind me and found myself alone in the quiet hallway. I decided to explore a bit more of the house before going to bed. I peeked into a few doors, bedroom after bedroom, all beautifully decorated in the same classic style. I was ready to head to my room when I spotted one last door. Curiosity one. This room was different. The walls were covered in framed pictures. I stepped closer. One showed Adam holding a newborn, next to a beautiful woman in a hospital bed, both of them beaming. Another showed the same woman now with a toddler on her lap, sitting by a Christmas tree opening presents. To the side were mannequins, maybe 10 of them dressed in stunning gowns. Some shimmered with rhinestones, others were elegant in their simplicity. They all looked incredibly expensive. On the bed lay a massive display of jewelry, necklaces, earrings, bracelets. I had no doubt these were real diamonds and precious gems. Then at the far end of the room, something caught my eye, a large portrait. A woman regal and radiant stared back at me. Golden hair cascaded in waves over her right shoulder. She wore a deep red mermaid-style gown that hugged her figure like it was made for royalty. Her presence filled the space. I reached out almost unconsciously to touch the painting, but I never made contact. A strong hand grabbed mine, halting me. "Let me know if you'd like a title for this chapter or help with the next one." I couldn't move. My body froze in place, paralyzed by sudden fear. "Who the beep told you it was okay to walk around like you own this place?" Adam grabbed my arm and spun me around to face him. His eyes, furious cold, bored into mine. I couldn't speak, couldn't think. And as I stood there trembling under the weight of his rage, a terrifying memory took over Jason, my brother, walking toward me with that same twisted glare. The one he always wore before the beatings began. "You were trying to steal from me, weren't you?" I should have known better. "Bringing a tramp like you into my home was a mistake." His grip tightened around my left arm. Pain shot through me, but it was the hatred in his voice that hurt more. My entire body began to shake as another memory surfaced: Jason's fists, his fury, my helplessness. Somehow I found the strength to speak. "No, I would never." But Adam cut me off. "Don't try to fool me, Emma. I know exactly what women like you are after. But let me be clear. I will destroy you with my own hands if I have to." My vision blurred with tears. My chest tightened, my throat closing. Another flashback. Jason again. This time, he was beating me. I felt every blow, every sting, like it was happening all over again. I couldn't breathe. My voice cracked in a whisper. "Please, don't. Please." Instinctively, I raised my hands to shield my face, expecting a blow just like before. My whole body braced for it, but it never came. Adam's face changed. The fury drained from his eyes. His grip loosened until he finally let go of my arm. I didn't wait. I bolted from the room, heart racing, tears falling freely. Back in my bedroom, I locked the door behind me and collapsed against it, sliding down until I was curled on the floor. I hugged my knees and cried like I hadn't cried in years. I had hoped desperately that I'd never feel this kind of fear again. But life had a cruel way of reminding me of where I belonged. Maybe this is what I deserve. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe there's something inside me that brings out the worst in people. Adam's POV. I was livid when I saw Emma in that room. She had no right to be there. But the second I saw her face, how terrified she looked, everything shifted. The rage vanished. She thought I was going to hit her, and I hated that. I hated her with everything in me. I wanted to see her broken. I thought I'd finally get that satisfaction. But as she stood there, shaking my name on her lips like a plea, something inside me twisted in the worst way. This wasn't satisfying. This wasn't victory. She flinched like she expected to be struck. Why does that bother me so much? Why do I care if she thinks I'm a monster? You care. A voice whispered in my head. More than you want to admit. Emma's POV. I'm impressed, Emma. You managed to get the money for your father's treatment. I just hope you didn't get into trouble over it. Don't worry, Dr. Collins. I didn't do anything crazy. I just married a cold, aggressive stranger who hates me for reasons I don't understand. But I smiled. I took out a loan. I'm paying back every penny. Yeah, right. Well, that's a relief. Your father would be proud. Life's thrown so much at you, and you always manage to overcome it. I hope you know how strong you are. Trust me, I'm not that strong, I said quietly, my mind flashing back to last night's encounter with Adam. I just do what I have to do. You've got one less thing to worry about for now. Your father's treatment is covered for a full year, unless he wakes up sooner. That would be a dream come true, Dr. Collins. I smiled softly. Just imagining hearing my dad's voice again made something warm bloom in my chest. Thank you. Please call me if there's any change. I'll try to come by more often. After leaving the hospital, I went to the mall to find something to wear for tonight's cocktail party. Adam had given me a credit card, and while I hated using it and hated the thought of going anywhere with him, I wasn't about to challenge him. Not after last night. It was safer to stay quiet. I picked a mid-length black dress with sequins that shimmered subtly under the light. It had a small slit on the right side, just enough to show a hint of thigh. It was elegant modern and hugged my curves, like it had been made just for me. I paired it with golden heels and matching accessories. Looking at myself in the mirror, I almost forgot the mess of my life almost. For my hair, I went with a messy low bun, leaving a few loose strands to frame my face. My makeup was a smoky eye, something I hadn't done in a long time, but somehow I still managed to pull it off. I took a deep breath and stepped out of my room, silently praying that Adam would be in a good mood tonight. Adam's POV. I was standing at the bottom of the staircase, impatient and annoyed. The nerve of this woman keeping me waiting like this. I looked at my watch for the 5th time, ready to bark something out, when I heard the faint sound of heels above me. Then I saw her. I'll never admit it out loud, but she looked stunning. The perfect mix of elegance and seduction. The dress hugged her in all the right places, and the open back revealed just enough to drive a man crazy. Her red hair fell softly in loose waves, and the lighting from the chandelier made it look like fire. I swallowed hard as she started coming down the stairs. She looked nervous, and I could still see fear in her eyes. My stare probably wasn't helping, but I couldn't look away. Some force stronger than me had locked my eyes on her. She finally stood before me, clearly trying to hide how scared she still was. Like a wounded animal bracing itself. "Shall we?" I managed to say, gesturing toward the door. As we walked out, I placed my hand gently on her back, and instantly, a spark ran through me like electricity. Emma's POV. My heart skipped a beat the moment I saw Adam waiting at the bottom of the stairs. He looked impossibly handsome in a tailored black 3-piece suit. The kind of man you knew could destroy you with a word or a touch. I couldn't forget how afraid he made me feel. And yet, I still liked him. Wait, what? No, it can't be. But then he touched my back, and my whole body lit up like it had been starved for his touch. Never mind, I definitely liked him. Emma, you've lost your damn mind, I told myself. If I could slap some sense into me, I would. The driver opened the door for us, and once inside the car, the ride was quiet and awkward. Adam kept looking at me, then out the window. Rinse and repeat. Just when I thought it couldn't get more uncomfortable, he spoke. Put this on before we get out of the car. And make sure you always wear it in public. He handed me a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, a big sparkling diamond. I blinked at it, then at him. For a second, I actually forgot why he'd be giving me a ring. Of course. I wash his wife. Wives wear rings. I slid it onto my finger, then looked back out the window, rolling my eyes. How romantic, I thought dryly. We arrived at the rooftop reception, and it was stunning. You could see the whole city from up here. Lights were strung overhead, a live band played something soft and jazzy, and waiters floated around with cocktails and appetizers. "Emma, meet my friend Tristan," Adam said. "Very nice to finally meet you, Emma," Tristan said with a grin. "Let me know if you ever need me to pull this guy's ears for you." "Nice to meet you, Tristan," I said, offering him a polite but fake smile. If only he knew who his friend really was. Or maybe he did, and that was the whole point of his comment. "You're so annoying, Tristan," Adam muttered, rolling his eyes before walking away. And just like that, I was left alone in a corner. I watched him mingle, talk, charm people. I hated how women kept touching him, brushing his shoulder, laughing too loudly. I rolled my eyes, but it didn't stop my heart from sinking when I saw him dancing with one of those man-eaters. I wanted to go home. Then a voice pulled me out of my thoughts. "What's a beautiful woman like you doing all alone?" "I'm not alone," I said coolly. "I'm here with my husband." I hoped the word husband would scare him off, but nope. "Oh, well, your husband must be a fool to leave someone like you alone. Come with me, we can have a little fun." He placed his hand on my waist, and the smell of alcohol hit me like a slap. I pushed him away with all my strength, but it wasn't working. "Leave me alone, you pig." "Don't play hard to get. Just kiss me. I know you want to." He leaned in, trying to force himself on me. But the next thing I knew, he was on the floor, clutching his nose as blood poured from it. My eyes widened as I saw who'd thrown the punch. I don't know what came over me, but when I saw that bastard's hands on Emma, something inside me snapped. I didn't even think. I just swung and hit him as hard as I could. He crumpled to the floor, clutching his nose, blood pouring from it. I turned to Emma and my heart stopped. Her breathing was erratic, tears welling in her eyes. "Don't you ever put your filthy hands on my wife again!" I snarled, barely holding back the fury boiling inside me. "And get out of here! You're fired!" "Mr. McRoberts, I didn't know she was your wife. I'm sorry," I said out. I yelled the urge to beat him senseless, nearly overwhelming me. People were starting to gather around, watching the scene unfold. That's when I saw Tristan approaching. "Adam, what happened?" he asked, but I didn't answer. My mind wasn't on him, it was on Emma. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice softer than I intended. She nodded, her eyes downcast, looking fragile and vulnerable in a way that shook me to my core. I couldn't understand why I felt the need to protect her like this, but I couldn't stop myself. I moved instinctively, wrapping my arm around her waist and leading her out. The driver was waiting at the door, and we climbed into the car. Inside, the silence was suffocating both of us, avoiding eye contact. I wanted to comfort her, to hold her, but my mind was screaming at me to keep my distance. Finally, she broke the silence, her voice barely a whisper. "You shouldn't have fired him." "Like hell I could let him touch you," I replied, unable to keep the sharp edge out of my tone. "I'm not worth somebody's job?" she murmured, and it hit me harder than I expected. I didn't like seeing her like this, feeling worthless. But why? This was the whole reason I'd brought her into my life, wasn't it? To make her feel small and insignificant? Yet seeing her this way hurt more than I cared to admit. When we reached home, Emma started walking towards the stairs. Her shoulders slumped, her head low. Something inside me rebelled at the thought of letting her retreat into herself like that. I grabbed her arm gently but firmly, forcing her to face me. The moment our eyes locked, I regretted it. I didn't know what to say. "I hope you can sleep well," I muttered, my voice rough. My hand throbbed painfully from the punch, and we both looked down to see the blood dripping from my knuckles. Before I could react, she ran upstairs. I collapsed onto the sofa, trying to clear my mind. Emma had a way of affecting me that I hated and loved all at once. I was starting to lose control, and that terrified me. I must have dozed off because the next thing I knew, I felt a soft touch on my hand. I jolted awake and looked to see Emma sitting beside me on the floor, a first aid kit in her hands. "Would you mind?" she asked, her voice soft. I didn't say anything, just stared into her green eyes, lost. She took my silence as a yes and began tending to my wound. My gaze never left her as she worked. I don't know if she noticed, but at that moment, nothing else mattered. When she finished and made a move to leave, I stopped her by holding her hand. Our eyes met again, and this time I saw the fear in her eyes slowly morph into something else, something I knew all too well, because I was feeling it too. My breath caught in my throat as I moved closer to her, the tension between us unbearable. I could hear her heart pounding, matching my own, as our lips drew closer. I was seconds away from kissing her when the sound of thunder boomed through the house, startling us both and snapping us out of the trance we'd fallen into. She turned to leave, but then stopped and half turned back to me. "Thank you," she said, her voice sincere. "For what?" I asked, confused. "For protecting me tonight," she whispered. "No one has ever protected me like that. Thank you." Emma's POV. My breathing was erratic as I walked down the long hallway, unsure if it was the result of my panicked escape or what had almost happened moments ago in the living room. I was still shaken when I heard a low sob coming from Demi's room. I hurried to her, finding her outside her door, shaking and crying. "Hey, what's wrong?" I asked softly. "I'm just afraid of the storm and the thunder," she whimpered. "It's okay," I said, pulling her close. "There's nothing to be afraid of. I'll take you to your room and wait with you until you fall asleep." I gently took her hand, leading her to her room. I tucked her into bed, brushing a lock of hair from her face. "You know storms aren't scary at all. It's just water falling from the sky, and thunder is just noisy clouds trying to scare pretty little girls like you." She giggled softly, her fear slowly melting away as I continued to talk, offering her comfort the only way I knew how. Adam's POV. I was on my way to my bedroom when I heard voices coming from Demi's room. Who would she be talking to this late? The door was ajar, so I took a quiet glance inside. What I saw froze me. Emma was sitting on the floor next to Demi's bed, speaking to her in the softest, most tender way I had ever heard. She was comforting my daughter, talking to her like a mother should. It caught me off guard. What the hell was going on? This wasn't supposed to happen. The next morning, I went to wake Demi up for school. As I opened the door, I saw Emma still asleep beside her, the dress from last night still on her body. She must have been so exhausted. I couldn't bring myself to wake them, so I quietly closed the door and walked back to my room. After showering and getting dressed for work, I left my room and saw Emma walking down the hall toward hers. She looked like she hadn't slept well at all. "Why did you sleep in Demi's room?" I asked, my voice flat. "I'm sorry," she replied quickly, her voice soft. "I found her crying in the hallway last night, and I couldn't leave her like that. She asked me to stay with her, so I did. It won't happen again, I promise." I couldn't help myself. In an impulsive move, I grabbed her by the waist, pulling her close. Before she could react, my lips found hers. She hesitated for a moment, surprised, but soon her muscles relaxed, and she gave in. My hands moved to her face as I deepened the kiss, pulling her closer. The electricity that shot through me was overwhelming. Her lips were so soft, so perfect. For a moment, I forgot everything. It was just the two of us tangled in this unspoken tension, giving in to something neither of us understood. Adam's POV. "So what's up with you and Emma?" Tristan asked, with that annoying smirk of his, which got under my skin more than I'd like to admit. "I don't understand your stupid question." "Are you sure about that?" he said, reclining in the seat across from my desk, looking far too smug for my taste. "Tristan, if you came to my office this early just to talk about this, you clearly have nothing else to do." "Unfortunately, I do. So leave me alone, I have work to do." Tristan's laughter echoed through the office. "I've never seen you this defensive about anything. I'm amazed." "What do you want, Tristan? I don't have all day." "I want you to acknowledge that you have feelings for her, and that your crazy plan for revenge has already failed." He stood up, his eyes glinting with amusement. "Don't be stupid, Tristan. Just because I stopped some psycho from raping her doesn't mean we're the perfect couple. One thing is me wanting to make her life miserable, and another is me letting her get hurt. What I did last night, I'd do it for anyone, even a stranger. There's nothing romantic in it. No, buddy, I know you better than you think. The way you looked at her, that says everything. The way you handled that guy, even more." "Sorry to burst your bubble, man, but your revenge failed," he said, heading for the door. "Stay around and watch." I muttered, my frustration boiling over. "We'll see, Adam. We'll see." With that, he left, leaving me alone with my thoughts. He was right. Something was happening. I was getting softer. This can't be happening, not now. I need to stay focused, but Emma... There was something about her, something magnetic that kept pulling me toward her, and that terrified me. Emma's POV. "I can't get over what happened this morning with Adam. He insults me, and then he kisses me. I can't read him. This is driving me crazy. That was my first kiss, and it was beyond anything I'd ever imagined. His lips were soft, warm, and when he pulled away, I found myself missing the touch I never thought I'd crave. How can this man be so cold and so warm at the same time? How can I be terrified of him, yet crave his kisses so much? This is all so confusing, and I just hope I don't end up getting hurt." I spent the day thinking about Adam the kiss and his constant mood swings. I need to keep myself busy to stop these thoughts. Otherwise, I'll go insane. So I decided to make dinner tonight. I've always enjoyed cooking, and maybe Martha would let me use her kitchen. I walked in and asked her, "Hi, Martha. Can I ask a favor?" "Certainly, milady. How can I help? If it's not too much trouble. Can I cook tonight's dinner?" "You don't need to ask Mrs. Emma. This is your home. You can do as you please. I'm here to follow your orders. If you'd like, I'll be more than happy to help. What are you planning to make?" My face lit up with excitement. I was getting tired of doing nothing. "How about a beef stew?" "I'll follow your lead, milady." With Martha's help, I managed to make a delicious stew. When Demi arrived from school, I served her some, and she loved it. Once done, she hugged me and kissed me before heading upstairs to take a bath. It was around 8 p.m., and Adam still wasn't home. "Mrs. Emma, would you like to eat now? It's getting late, and you must be hungry." "Thank you, but I'm fine, Martha. I'll wait for Adam." After another half hour, Adam finally arrived. Demi was already in bed, and I figured he must have had a very busy day at work because he always tries to make it home before Demi's bedtime. "Hi, I bet you had a rough day at work. You never come home this late. His face remained unchanged as if he hadn't heard me. I hope you're hungry. I made dinner. This time, he looked at me with a hint of surprise in his eyes, but managed to keep his signature poker face. Martha set the table, placing 2 plates for the both of us. We sat down and I watched him, confident that he'd like my stew. But as usual, everything went to hell. I startled in my seat when he slammed his plate across the table, making it land on the floor, stew splattering everywhere. My eyes widened in shock. This food is awful. I hate it as much as I hate you. I stood up, tears welling in my eyes, but I refused to cry in front of him. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. Why? What have I ever done to you to make you hate me so much? Please tell me. I need to know. You disgust me as much as this food does, he yelled before storming out. I felt a strange sense of relief. Now I could finally cry. My breathing grew heavy as tears rolled down my face. This was all my fault. Why did I think making dinner would be a good idea? I knelt to clean up the mess left by the monster I called my husband. Martha rushed to me, trying to calm me down. But I couldn't stop shaking. Mrs. Emma, please calm down. I'll clean this up. Why is he like this, Martha? What have I done to deserve this? I'm sorry, dear. I don't know what's wrong with him. Ever since his wife died in that terrible car accident 2 years ago, he's become bitter and withdrawn. But I promise he's a good man. He has the biggest heart. Please be patient with him. I can't, Martha. I can't live like this. After helping Martha clean up, I went to my room, lying in bed, thinking about everything. I couldn't keep living like this. I didn't want to be constantly insulted. As much as I loved Demi and appreciated Martha, I couldn't stay here. I had to leave. Trembling, I walked to his study, unsure of how Adam would react, but I knew I couldn't stay. I knocked softly on the door. I heard his voice shout from the inside. What now? I opened the door and walked inside, fearful of what would happen. He didn't look up from the papers he was reading, but I knew he felt my presence. After a few seconds, he slowly raised his eyes to meet mine. His gaze pierced me, sending chills down my spine. I wanted to tell you that I'm leaving. My voice trembled, but I tried to sound strong, even though I was a mess inside. He slowly lowered the paper, giving me his full attention. A shiver ran down my spine as I saw him stand up and walk toward me. His intense stare made me freeze. So you want to leave? You can leave whenever you want. You're not my prisoner. Good. Then I'm leaving tonight. I turned to walk away to pack and leave, but his voice stopped me. Do you have $25,000 to pay me back tonight before you go? I turned to face him. How could he be so heartless? He knew I didn't have that money. He probably saw that the check was cashed. That was his way of stopping me from leaving without telling me directly. You know I don't have that money anymore. He walked closer, his presence overwhelming. I could smell his breath, and then before I could react, he grabbed me by the waist. Our bodies touched, and his lips crashed onto mine. For a second, I lost control. I couldn't resist him. Something about him made my ability to think disappear. The kiss was desperate, demanding. He grabbed my body with both hands and lifted me up. I wrapped my legs around his waist as the kiss never broke. He walked us to his desk where he sat me on it. His hands touched both sides of my face as his tongue explored my mouth. I couldn't help but let him savoring every second of his soft lips. After a while, he whispered against my lips, never breaking the kiss. Then you can't leave me.